I remember being the last on the calling list. Like, there were a couple, my brodies, they would call before they would think about calling me.
Wow.
I remember what that felt like, and I didn't take it personal. I took it as motivation. A lot of people are taking those things as like, a lot of kids I see are taking it as like competition. I wanted to know why I wasn't getting called. And once I found out why I wasn't getting called, I worked on those things. Like, oh, you're not clean enough. I'll work on being clean.
Yeah.
Or you don't interpret music the way we're trying to, I'll work on interpretation. I took it as motivation.
Artists, musicians, and creatives of all kinds. Looking for help balancing your passion to create with your everyday life? Not sure if your faith can coexist with your profession? Welcome to a place where real artists discuss real life. Visit godandgigs.com for show notes, links, and more information. Now here are your hosts, Alan C. Paul and Christyle Renee.
Hello and welcome to the God and Gigs Show. My name is Alan C. Paul and I'm a musician and author of the book, God and Gigs, Succeed as a Musician Without Sacrificing Your Faith, as well as our devotional, Your Art, God's Heart, a 21-day guide for creatives. And I'm here with the, I can't think, there's so many adjectives I could think for this person, but she is indescribable.
Wow.
Yes, look at that. Oh, look how I did that.
You must want something today.
No, I don't.
Thank you, Alan. It's so good to be back with the God and Gigs family. My name is Christyle Renee. I am a singer, songwriter, performer, and host.
Yes, and we are so happy to have you listening to this show. If you're listening for the first time, thanks for checking us out.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome. We are a show all about helping creatives to build better lives from the inside out, applying timeless spiritual principles to the temporary problems that creatives face. So that's what we're all about here, just trying to help you to be the best creative you can be.
Right. Encouragement as well. Just
Absolutely.
here to encourage.
We just love the community that we've built. If you haven't followed us on Facebook, we have a public group on Facebook. Just look for God and Gigs Creative Community. We have master classes. We have all kinds of resources that we're just trying to help this community to. It's really been crazy how it's grown over the last 2 years.
Yes, a blessing.
Absolutely.
Be sure to subscribe.
Oh, yes.
Subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe. Please tap that button right now and you can hear future episodes anytime they are released. So today we have an incredible interview with one of the most celebrated musicians, I can say honestly, that we've had on this show, because we've had people who's worked with all the top artists, but I don't think we've ever had an artist who's worked with the Backstreet Boys before.
Jamal J. Moore.
Yes, he has been in every single major stage you can imagine. And at the young age, I've been calling him a young guy because I can say, I can tell my age here, I guess. I'm in my mid 40s. So to me, everybody under 40 is young still. Sorry.
Well, all right.
Yes, but at the young age that he is at, he has done so much. And so I can't wait to introduce this interview so that you can hear all of the wisdom he's gained from not only working at the top levels of gospel, but also working at the top levels of R&B and pop. So let me just read a little bit about him. By the time Jamal Moore had turned 18, he had graduated from his hometown church to the national gospel music stage with recording artist Byron Cage. Since that major gig, Moore has played with gospel mainstays, including B.B. Winans. Moore joined the Backstreet Boys' Unbreakable World Tour with his brother and mentor Aaron Spears, visiting North America, South America, and Europe. Moore has enjoyed working on high-profile gigs for artists including Carrie Hilson, Diddy Dirty Money, T.I., and Kelly Rowland. In addition, he's played with superstar Usher at the Essence Music Festival. So you can see this bio just goes on and on with all the cream of the crop when it comes to music. But he's such a humble guy.
Yeah, very.
Exactly. When you hear this interview, you're going to hear that come out, that he has not lost the touch that he learned back when he was working in his dad's church back in the Maryland, D.C. area. So, yeah, we're ready.
Without further ado, let's listen to your interview with Jamal J. Moore.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Alan of the God and Gigs Show podcast, and I can't tell you what a pleasure this is to have this I'll say young man. I still consider him a young man. I hope he considers himself a young man.
For sure, dude.
Keep it as long as you can.
For sure, dude.
But he is not young when it comes to experience in the music industry. And most importantly, as we were just talking about right before we got on the recording, about life in this industry, life trying to balance out these worlds. He's grown up in the church, and so he knows all about that world. And he's worked with some of the best in gospel. And now he's worked with the top levels in really just every genre. I won't even name a genre. So I would like to welcome Jamal Moore to the Guidance Podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Like super, super appreciate it. You taking the time out to just find out a little bit more about myself and my career or my goals. So I appreciate it. You know, it might not mean too much to you, but
it means a lot. Number one, I can be transparent on these recordings. It's early in the morning. You just finished the show in Miami, down here on your Voyager tour, and I know from just me getting up after maybe a 1 o'clock corporate gig, how they like that alarm does not want to be like you keep slapping that snooze button. So I appreciate you, and maybe we can start there, just in terms of, because I know sometimes we want to like do the whole backstory and tell people who you are, but real quick, just because we have a lot of creatives listening to this, a lot of musicians, let's just start there. Like, how do you handle the hustle of things like this? Like, get up for the tour, for the gig, for the thing. I mean, is there something right now, like even in terms of your mentality of getting into, getting through a tour like this that you're already starting with your band?
I just call it laser focus. Like I'm super, of course, God is the first thing. Just keeping him the head of my life, period, the end. Like, of course it's not even like, I'm going to say that, like, that's literally like God. If it wasn't for God, I would probably still be asleep.
That's so true.
I won't be up. Like I would probably be 6 feet under. No, but seriously, God. And then just the things, he's giving me some goals and some dreams, and they're not just about me. They're about me and the people I'm connected to, and the people I haven't connected yet, but I know like I will connect with them. But I'm laser focused right now, man. So if somebody says, let's get up and do this interview, or let's go drive over here and do this, I'm with it, because I'm super, super locked in, super focused. And that came around about, I think around about 26. I'm 31 now. So that came about 26, 27 when I started to really hone in on the things I wanted to achieve. Because of those things and those dreams and those goals, I'm like willing to bend over and make sure like I'm taking care of my responsibilities,
I hear you. And the fact is that I can now kind of pick it back to the beginnings of because I'm sure that focus didn't start when you just got to 26.
No.
So I'm sure that, in your upbringing. So just talk a little bit about that in terms of where you came from, how you were groomed, I guess you could say, because of your, I have done did a little research, a little digging, quick stalking on you, and wanted to make sure I understood where you came from. Yeah. And so just talk a little bit about, growing up with your family and that kind of background, where I'm sure there's somewhere that they said you have to be responsible, you have to take care of business.
For sure. My dad is my hero, and thank God he's still alive and he's still here. He's still going strong in the paint as well. My dad and my mom, I was born in church, if you ask me. My dad started pastoring a church in DC called CMBC. It's called Carolina Missionary Baptist Church, but we call it CMBC. And he started pastoring probably a year or two right before I was born. And so I was literally like born into church, and I've saw my dad, take a 150 crowd church to 500 and 1,000. You know what I'm saying? I've seen him take the church from being in Washington D.C. to building in Fort Washington, Maryland, and I watched my mom, still work, but then also work on her modeling career. And like both of my parents were in the music, as they were coming up. So I've seen them like be focused in so many different areas. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had great examples. And that's really where it comes from, if you ask me. Of course, along the way, you meet other people that are kind of like, on the same path, or like just trying to like achieve some things, or have obtained the things that you're trying to do. And they always tell you to stay focused, stay laser eye focused.
Yeah.
And one of the things that one of the scriptures that come to mind, honestly, is when Peter was walking on water. I can't think of the scripture.
No,
but basically, like, as soon as he took his focus off Jesus,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, he started to, and so I kind of like, that's kind of how I like try to go after life, basically. Just being super locked in on the things I'm trying to do, and as long as I'm locked in, I feel like I won't sink, I won't drown.
I love it, because like you said, when he took his eyes off of it, I think that it definitely can be equated to our lives.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, whether you're
sure.
creative, whether you're a lawyer, like whatever you do, when you get your eyes off and you pay attention to all the craziness that's happening around us, you literally will sink, like sink mentally, emotionally, and all the stuff you're doing. I want to take you back a little bit, like you just mentioned, your family, your dad, as far as pastoring.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's 100 people listening to this right now to say, yep, that was me, my pastor's kid, and had to,
For sure.
you know, if he said
sure.
sweep the floor, you sweep the floor. If you have to, you
For
know,
sure.
play the drums, you
For
have
sure.
to run sound. So tell me, what was the first moment in that world that you kind of started to say, all right, here's where my passions lie. No, dad and mom, I'm following their footsteps, but when did your drive toward, let's just say playing the drums, I'm assuming it is, but you tell me, like when did it start to become like, here's what I want out of this particular, you know,
honestly,
world?
I started playing, of course, at birth, but, you know, they always told me, like, I would set up teddy bears and, like, you know, mock the drummer and stuff like that. My dad, actually, the drummer that was at the church when I was around 7, like, he ended up leaving or something like that. And my dad, instead of hiring someone else, he hired me. And I was like, you know, at 7 years old, he's like, yo, I can barely hold it down. But, you know, the band was like, was willing to work with me, and they really helped me. And then around, you know, I'm getting older, like, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I think around 12 or 13, that's when I met a couple of other guys that were my age in the area, but then also met some older guys. We call them the OGs, but like Aaron and Buggy and Tim. And I met those guys. And at that moment, those guys were doing it full time. And so it exposed my sight to, oh, this is a thing. Like, I could possibly do this. But before I even got to that, I was just so wowed by their playing alone that all I wanted to do was sit down and glean from them. So I did that for a couple years, around, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then I started, because I was hanging around the OGs and they saw potential in me. They started to introduce me to other drummers who were like touring the world and really making a living out of touring. And that's when I was like, oh wow, like I really, really want to do this. You know? So it's really those guys, or just being in those arenas where your eyesight and your imagination is being exposed to other things. And so like I say, between 13 and 17, that's when I was like, oh, I really want to do this. You know, and I started putting my actions towards it, like practicing every day and like trying to connect with other people and wanting to do gigs outside of church, because I didn't know anything about gigs.
I was waiting for that one too, because you just said about being exposed. And so just I kind of think I know the answer to the question. I was trying to anticipate, but just answer it. What was the reaction when you started getting exposed to life outside of church? What was there support from your family?
For sure, always.
Okay,
always. Like
gotcha.
my dad always was like, you know, what I do, son, is what I do. This is my purpose. He always encouraged me to find my thing, and that lasted for a long time. Like my dad, like, one of the things that we kind of count about now is, like, I lived with my parents for a long time. Like, I didn't leave the house at 18. I went to school, and then after I left school and I came home and I was trying to figure out some other stuff, like, they were supportive, and like not just supportive in like with their words, but like they would let me stay at the house. You know what I'm saying? So
they made the path easier for you.
Like, instead of me having the pressure of like, oh, I gotta figure out this money thing, like they really helped me with, and it wasn't, I was for sure self-sufficient, or I was independent, and, you know, I had my oldest kid at 19, so I understand I understood what the responsibilities I were gonna, like I needed or the responsibilities I would have. But they were still supportive as far as my career was concerned. They were, they were hecka supportive, like hecka supportive. So I'm thankful for them. But no, I never received any weird backlash. Not from them or even from church. Like I never ever received any weird backlash. It was like, if anything, everybody was excited that I was trying to figure out stuff on my own. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful for that.
No, you got, it's so nice to hear that, to be honest, because I've heard, both sides. I've heard people that say, my parents who were pastors were supportive. And then I've heard stories of where people are like, you can't come back here. If we heard you on that R&B song, we heard you play with that artist, like you're not welcome. And so I think now just talking to you, meeting you for the first time, you hear the balance. Like I can hear the balance in your voice because you're not trying to fight some internal battle that you had to fight with your faith and dealing, trying to be a professional, which means play the music and be in these arenas where you have to kind of like know who you are. Yeah. So now take me that you said 17, you're starting to like get,
that's when I started to understand what
life's going to require.
I think it's 17. I think it was 17 where I started to play drums for 17 or 18. 16 and 17, that's when I started to play around town. And I was playing with a bunch of, groups or whatnot. And they kind of basically helped me like grow up musically, like, and I was also playing with a bunch of my friends and we all were in kind of the same boat and whatnot. But I think my first crazy, long experience was when I was working with Byron Cage.
Gotcha.
That was my first real gospel national artist. And that was and I got that good friend of mine, Ken Friend. He's from Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. He was the guy that was MDing at the moment, and he was the one that was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna put you on a gig," and I'm like, "Cool, bro." And then he ended up calling me a couple months later, and for sure, I end up going to play drums for Byron. I was kind of like an audition, but I ended up playing at audition at Ebenezer, and Byron came in while I was going through the music, and he loved it. And my first gig was on my birthday.
What?
Yeah.
Which birthday was this? 18?
Yeah, 18.
Your 18th birthday, dude. What kind of memory?
Oh, it was the craziest thing in the world.
Oh.
All I could do was thank God. I'm like, I was so thankful. Like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. And it was around the time where Presence of the Lord had just came out, that record.
Oh my gosh, that was okay. Can I shift now?
No, go ahead.
I'm not trying to it's about me.
Yeah.
But how many Sundays? It probably, I don't know what the charts say. It must have been all year.
Oh, for sure.
It must have been a number one
sure.
for literally 45, 30 weeks in a row. And so now you're in the middle of this environment. So I'm always trying to see where the path is leading. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, because now you're 18, you're playing. I guess you're on the tour. You're on the major. You're playing. So what is that doing in terms of your? Is there any moment where you're either intimidated or are you fearful, or are you anything in now that you're seeing all this success? Because I have an issue. I'll just talk about myself. Mm-hmm. Sometimes success scares me. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of nervous because I know now the responsibility that's been laid on me, because when things start going well, is actually worse than the scary part of being not successful. Mm-hmm. So what was that like for you now that you see the success and you're like, oh my gosh, I've made it at 18. What are you thinking at that point?
Man, I was just happy, honest. You put in a lot of time. For me, I was putting in a lot of time, period. I remember one summer, I literally did not go outside. I practiced all summer, every day, nonstop. Then the next summer, I practiced with my homies. You know what I'm saying? I put in so much work that I was just excited. And because I was, I guess, fresh, I wasn't tainted by the possibilities of what could go wrong.
Got you.
And what could possibly go right. I was just living in the moment. And I'm actually thankful for that because, as you get older, you start to do other things and, you live in fear or you live on edge because of past trauma or stuff like that. And I was just thankful that I was able to enjoy that moment, and it was great. It was such an awesome moment. I met one of my best friends. I have a best friend named Daryl Wilson. I met him. Matter of fact, he's out on the road with us. But I was able to meet him. I built some really, really like great relationships. Ken Friend, we did a show in Richmond. I was able to honor him in his city. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I really, really, I built some great relationships, and I wasn't scared, man. I was actually really, really excited. I was really, really happy, and in that, like I didn't have any fears. And I wasn't, I'm about to be arrogant. It wasn't that for me. I was really just excited to be even, considered. You know what I'm saying? To play on that gig. At that moment, it was huge. President of the Lord, and then he went from President of the Lord to Bless the Lord. That was like almost a 3-4 year run, man. Yeah. Like consistent work every week. Like being out of town 3 or 4 times a week. Like it was crazy. I was thankful, man. I'm still thankful, actually.
I hear you.
I'm super thankful. And that was that, man. Like I wasn't on myself at all. I wasn't. And I remember we played Stella Awards, and this is the first year they kind of like allowed people to bring their bands.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And like we opened up Stella Awards, and I remember like all the big OGs like Calvin and them like, yo, you sound amazing. And it just made me excited. When you're OGs that you look up to, or people you see from afar, and be like, man, you sound great. I'm really happy for you. I'm proud of you, because they're watching from afar. Yeah. And they're watching you not just how you play, but how you deal with success. So, man, I was just thankful. I'm still thankful, man. I'm still thankful.
I feel so much when you're talking about the network and the community that really supported you. You didn't have a reason to fear. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think maybe what some musicians and creative people, they feel like they're going to be on their own. Like that's kind of where that fear comes from. Maybe it's like this idea that I'm going to be out here taking this risk or in front of these crowds or whatever. And if I fall, I'll fall myself. That whole scripture about if two fall, if one falls and if there's another there, a three-bound cord is not easily broken.
For sure.
So that network of people that you had, like OGs, guys that you mentioned that have already gone where you've gone, and then are cheering you on while you're going, it's got to be huge, man.
It was huge. It was definitely, the support system was huge. And then also my dad raised me to be like a guy where like if this person wasn't necessarily in my corner, I was still okay. Yeah, I was still fine. Like, because everybody's not gonna be in your corner, and things change, and people change, and sometimes that's just what they're going through in their life. Yeah. But you can't let that affect you, man. So I was okay. To me, I had the community of like musicians, being supportive, at home and, around the country and whatnot. But I still lived a world where I still had to be by myself at times, because I was a PK who was trying to do something outside of being another preacher. You know what I'm saying? Or I was in high school, and, at that moment, in high school, the kids they don't necessarily know exactly what they're going after. But in high school, I knew exactly what I was going after. Like high school was 14, 15, 16. At 16, I was like, I know exactly what I'm going after. So there was some type of moments where I felt alone because I'm in high school, and these kids are just kind of like going to school. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to get my grades, but when I leave here, I'm going to go through this, or I'm going to go through this rehearsal. So there was a sense of there were moments where I was alone technically, but because I knew what I was after, I'm cool on that, man.
Yeah, cool. I literally just brought up. I'm probably gonna get it wrong. I just saw it on Instagram. I think it was Brian Meadows. I want to say he said, "Stop waiting for people to understand you." Yeah, basically, like just do what you. If God told you what to do, and you like you said, that goes back to that word of focus. Because you were focused, people that aren't focused just don't get it. They just don't get you. So. Let me ask you this, because now we're kind of getting to the point where I wanted to ask you about some of these other tours now, the Backstreet Boys. When that happens, when now you got the opportunity to move from working with Byron and the gospel artists. And now I guess, I don't want you tell me, because I've never been on this stage. What is it like when you have to shift from the one particular high level? It is still high level. You're playing Stellas, you're playing, but now you're shifting to the pop world or to an R&B world. And are there differences? And what did that mean for you when you were asked to do those type of tours, when you start to shift to another genre?
Details. We skip over details in church.
Wow. Like, please continue, please, because
we skip over details in church. Though it's sad, but secular, the world, however you want to consider it, they pay attention to every little part, and they give every little part as much attention as the next part. And because of that, everything it's built on a machine. It's built on great foundation, so it can't fail. It can't, like, if they're going to go on tour, they're going to start from who's this and and what are we doing? And like, everybody is paying attention to their section and they're paying close attention to details. And that was a transition for me.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like now? The first time that someone, did you catch yourself? Did someone have to call you out? Did you just see, hey, wait a minute, I'm in this?
I've had a couple times where the MD will say, like, even on Backstreet Boys, I was fresh out of, like, playing all the stuff in the world. Like, I wanted to play every lick in the world. And the MD was like, hey, man, you could probably dial it back a little bit. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And then I remember being kind of upset about it. And then the next show I kind of like was like super chill. And they were like, not that much. But yeah, like, I've had moments where along the way where people are like, yeah, so you should probably not do that one. You should probably not, and it's not just about the chops or whatnot, just everything. I remember when Backstreet Boys, we were in, this is my first gig, and they were getting levels on me because I was coming in, filling in, and Aaron was playing. And Aaron went to go do American Idol.
Oh, by the way, let me stop. I remember some people, you say Aaron, we know who Aaron is, so just tell them who Aaron is.
Oh, Aaron Spears, like that's family to me. One of the OGs that took me in from my hometown. But Aaron was going to do American Idol, and at that moment, Andre, I don't want to say Andre's last name wrong, but Andre, he's from Jersey, but he lives in LA now, was the MD for Backstreet Boys. And Andre suggested to Aaron, he's like, hey, do you think Jamal would be interested? And he was like, for sure. So they made the call, and I remember going to sound check. I didn't have no rehearsal with the band. I came in, like, they sent me the music, and they flew me in like probably like 2 days before we started the first show, and we were like just going through line check or what, and the engineer front. It's funny because I just saw him probably like a couple months ago, but engineer, a guy named Zito. We're going through levels. He was like, yo, kick the bass drum. So I'm kicking the bass drum. So at that moment, I was just tapping it like, let me just get this over with. So he gets on the mic and he was like, is that how hard you're going to kick, man? I mean, are you going to kick that soft? Because in that case, I'm going to have to gain the mic all the way up. And if I gain the mic all the way up, it's going to pick up other stuff. And I was like, what? Like, I was confused because I had never... Everybody's paying attention to because everybody's trying to do their job to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
So it's just little stuff like that kind of made me be like, okay, cool. I'm in line check. I need to kick. It's hard. And that's when I learned, like, as hard as I'm going to kick doing the show, that's how hard I need to be kicking right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at that moment, I didn't know because no one told me on the church side. You know what I'm saying? No one told me that's something that, was required of me. So yeah, details, man. Just paying attention to details and knowing what to do in every little, section. Every little thing matters. Line checking matters because they're getting levels on you. They're getting levels on how you attack the drum, and they don't really tell you that. We so used to going to church and like, let's sound check and we just loafing and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool. Everybody good? I'm like, yeah, we good. Like, cool. But line check is you really digging in, like, is this how the show is going to be? Because I'm trying to get levels on everybody and everything. In order for me to be my best, I'm talking about from the engineer standpoint, like in order for me to be my best, I need y'all to give me your best.
Yeah.
At this very moment. So I can mix it and make it fly, you know?
Yeah. No, man, the fact that you, number one, it's an indictment. Let's just be honest. It is a sad statement that you have to say that you found more about excellence or learned more about excellence.
For sure.
When you got outside of the church world.
Sure.
But I think, hopefully now, number one, that you're sharing it, and then more people who are sharing the fact that God is an excellent God. We should never be following behind or trying to catch up.
Nah.
Because if we serve a creator who literally did everything perfectly, why are we scared of perfection? Or why do we, like you said, like not reach that level? So no, I appreciate it so much. It's so insightful, the fact you shared it. I wanted to ask you actually now, because when I was listening to the EP project, actually on the way over here, and when I saw your show last night, there was kind of like the word that kept coming to mind was freedom. And so I felt like, okay, let me ask him. Now you just mentioned it, the details, make sure you play what's being asked and use your skill, but use your skill the right way versus trying to show off or, kind of go wherever you want to go in the music. What is it like now doing your own project where you get to decide, okay, we're going to form this music, we're going to create this picture, but now it's what I want. It's not what the artists want. So just explain to me, like now that you kind of like the story behind Voyager, and just what do you want to do now with your own music so that it becomes what you want it to be?
Yeah. Voyager is literally, of course, it's my baby. And the way it came about is super like, I wasn't even thinking about Voyager. I wasn't even thinking about a record. To be honest, I have a whole nother record that I worked on with my homie Adrian. I'm listening to this interview, but I worked on a whole nother record. I flew to Texas and worked on this whole, like, it's kind of like alternative rock and stuff like that. I worked on a record 5 years ago, and that's in the can waiting. But Voyager came about literally, it's a song they called Drum Challenge 1.
Yeah, I heard it, yeah.
Daryl Woodson and I worked on that song probably 3-4 years ago. 3-4 years ago, and we just sat it. It just sat on the side. Like, I played it, and I was like, yeah, we'll get to it. Because we had so much other stuff that we was working on.
Yeah.
And then, God gave me this thing about, it's a couple things he gave me. One of them was like ownership. Like, a lot of us are working within these realms of like, working in these realms of, these rules that the world has given us, but no one is taking the rules and owning them and like getting ownership out of it. So that's how Voyager came about. I literally wanted to take the rules of like, oh, we only got a minute to express ourselves or 2 minutes to express ourselves. How do we do this? And it's on like my platform. It's not on Instagram or Facebook. And I love those platforms, like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But how do I take ownership of it? And it was basically like, oh yeah, I'll use the rules that they've given us, but I'll create my own record.
It's so cool. And I'm telling you, like, it literally is, because people, when you first say it, 7 songs, 9 minutes, you say, what? Yeah. But what I experienced simply as a musician is, I'll say it even as a writer, because I've now had to start, getting into words as well as music. The best authors are the ones that can tell a story without having to use a lot of words. For sure. And what I felt like you did in that project is you told a story. For sure. Like, I felt like I went on a round the world journey, and it's like, wait, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah, yeah.
You like, you get to the end, you like, dog, you just, and it's like, I gotta play it again.
Exactly. And I think the best, obviously, we all know the projects that form our musical lives, the ones that we can't get enough of, those are the ones that we replay. Yeah. It doesn't matter how long it is or how short it is. It's like that little, even if it's a lick, you'll play that lick 100,000 times because of how amazing it was and how much it like inspired you. So I love the fact that the concept that you came up with is use the rules, like you said, the rules of the 2 minute, 30 second, whatever, pop song. But you found a way to tell your story. So I just wanted to go back a little bit because I thought about that when you said the ownership.
Yeah.
Because now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
What is it about being your own artist that excites you? The fact that in other words, are you looking forward to more of this, or is there something in you that says, hey, you know what? I enjoy making other people's music sound amazing. Like, which one of those, if you had to pick, I know it's horrible.
I'll never pick beat. I can't pick. The reason why is maybe I will in years from now, but I tell people all the time, like, just because I'm embarking upon my own thing, I still get the not so much satisfaction, but I still thrive off like hearing someone else's record and then us taking that record and basically making it live. And you know what I'm saying? Because think about it from a record, sometimes it's not just from the artist. Like, it starts with a producer who wasn't around. Then it goes to the writers who weren't around, and then they give it to the artist, and then the artist might add their 2 cents. And then visually they might think of something else, so they'll change it. You know what I'm saying? It goes through so many hands.
The evolution of
it goes through so many hands before it gets to you. So you got to basically take a piece from each. Like, all those brains working, now it's brought to you. You got to do that, play those patterns, interpret that music from that standpoint, but then also add your own drip to it. So I enjoy that. And that's actually a part of my sound. Like what Voyager is not just, I came up with this sound. It's basically a conglomerate of like the type of artists and the type of music and the type of things I've had to like not just listen to over the years, but also kind of like what I've been blessed to work on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still in a place where I love working with artists. I'm still in that place. I just know that for me, spending so much time working for others and building their dreams, I got to put that much time and that much effort into my own.
Yeah.
And, and it's funny because you would think that one would have to lack. And actually, I'm in a place where I don't think one is lacking. I actually think that I'm still working with some artists right now, and I give them 110%, just like I would on my stuff. Like, I'm giving 110%. I think that's the young in me that's like, I'm just going to go hard until I don't have no more left. And, I'll rest when I rest, but I'm just going to go hard, and I still enjoy it. I still want to do it, and I'm still doing it to this very day. Like, I'm blessed to still be working with some artists right now, and to still do, and then the artists respect my artistry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a plus to it. When you come to artists and you say, and they're like, oh man, you're your own thing. Like, you can't knock that.
Yeah, I think there's got to be some mutual respect.
Yeah,
there,
you got
because
to.
now you're not simply coming, like you said, and I'm not dismissing it, by the way, when I use this word, but you're not coming as an employee.
Right.
You're coming as an equal now, but you're coming in to make their thing because you have something like, let's say, do you have something to bring to the table, right?
Yeah,
so you have something to bring to the table because you know what it's like, and now you got all this additional knowledge.
And they'll ask like, what you think, man? Or how you feeling? Which is something that a lot of people don't get a chance to.
Right.
A lot of us have like, and it's not even just musicians, like we'll work for corporate America or we'll work for different businesses and then we'll see something like, man, it would be really cool if we do this.
Yeah.
But we keep it to ourselves because no one asked us or, we're just trying to stay in our lane. But coming into a situation where you're your own thing, you're your own thing, or not even you're your own thing, like, but basically like they just respect you more than just an employee. It's kind of like, I'm going to ask this person their opinion as well because I respect what they bring to the table, not just as an employee, but as like a person who is a creator or, so it's been a blessing, man. And I want to continue to do it as long as I can because I like it. And I'll make a choice when I have to make a choice, but hopefully I never have to make a choice.
No, I don't think you know when you said it yourself. And I love how we kind of like, again, I feel like these conversations always come full circle. You're just talking about the balance. Like, you don't have to choose between loving God and playing this gig. You don't have to choose between owning your art, being your own artist, and playing for other artists. You it's kind of like it is. I kind of put it to you on purpose, but I knew it was a false choice.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to choose between those two things. Like, as long as you have the right perspective,
right?
You can do everything that God's kind of blessed you to do. And I've said this in one of my little phrases, my own phrase, that God is a God of and, not or. He's he's Alpha and Omega. He's beginning and end. He's always and. He's never.
I like
or.
that. I like that. I'm taking it.
Yeah, don't take it,
like
please. is for free because I totally stole it from someone else probably.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's really a beautiful picture of how you kind of, again, taking your career at this, again, young age, if I can say that.
For sure, no.
And you are really just, moving on to whatever God has for you in terms of ownership and being your own person and like the sky is not the limit. It really isn't. Real quick, I had two last follow-up things. What would you say to the person who is in your shoes, who was, where you were, who is where you were, like, let's say 16? What would you say to that person who's trying to, like, starting to get some mentorship, but, either they're growing up in the church or whatever, and they're not sure, maybe they don't have your laser focus that you had, like you figured it out and you knew exactly how to get. Mm-hmm. So maybe talk to the 16-year-old you, but maybe the one that's a little more confused. Yeah. What would you say to that person as far as how they should go forward? What would be your advice?
The 16 on me or the person that me. Honestly, man, I would just probably say, I don't want to give like super deep. I would just probably say like life is a learning. It's all about learning.
Yeah. And
it's all about being able to get up and get back up. I think people don't be infatuated with the hype of it. Be infatuated with being the best you. And once you focus on you, everything else that comes with being the best you will come. Like, the 16-year-olds are so infatuated or so distracted by like what it looks like.
Yeah.
That as soon as trouble arrives or trauma arrives, they don't know how to handle it. They spiral out. And I'll probably tell myself the same thing. Like, don't get caught up in the hype. Like we say it like in passing and stuff like that, but it's real. Don't get caught up in the hype. Just get caught up in being the best version that you can be, and everything else will fall into place. Like, if it takes you a little bit more time than others, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. I literally was the last person they thought would. I remember being the last on the calling list. Like, there were a couple, my brodies, they would call before they would think about calling me.
Wow.
I remember what that felt like, and I didn't take it personal. I took it as motivation. A lot of people are taking those things as like, a lot of kids I see are taking it as like competition. I wanted to know why I wasn't getting called. And once I found out why I wasn't getting called, I worked on those things. Like, oh, you're not clean enough. I'll work on being clean.
Yeah.
Or you don't interpret music the way we're trying to. I'll work on interpretation. I took it as motivation. So I would just tell the 16-year-old, like, just learn every day, learn something. The 16-year-old, just learn something every day. And relieve that, like, take that stress off you, man. And enjoy it and fall in love with the process. Now everything that everyone said to me, everything everyone says to me, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I wish I had that advice from you. You said it perfectly, man. I appreciate that so much. I know a lot of people are listening are too. Let's make sure that everybody knows how to follow you, your socials, just because clearly, again, this project, when I first got introduced to it, just, through our friend Jamals here, just realized, oh my gosh, like, this number one is someone I've probably been hearing my whole life. I didn't realize I was listening to.
That's cool.
And then number two, again, like, just seeing how you're evolving as an artist, people are going to want to follow that as well. So just tell them how they can keep up with you.
You can follow me on, of course, all the social media. All my handles are the same. Jamal J Moore, JAMAL JMOORE. That's on Facebook. That's on Instagram and Twitter. And my record, you can look it up, Jamal Moore, The Voyager. And that's pretty much it. I'm in the process of working my website out stuff now, just because I'm like a super creative person, so I needed to like look a certain way and feel a certain way. So, I'm taking my time to make sure it's fly. But yeah, as of now, you can follow those things and, look out for some more dates. We're going to try to work the Voyager thing all the way across the country, even some overseas stuff. And I'm going to be working with, some artists coming up. So
all right.
Look out for that. But it'll be cool. It'll be lit. It'll be great. And send me a DM or something. And be like, yo, I appreciate the words you gave me or something like that. But yeah, that's how you can keep up with me. And what you see is what you get.
Well, we're going to see a lot more, man. The have not been told for sure. This has been an honor, Jamal. Thank you once again for joining us, man. And we will be doing this again, I pray, very soon.
For sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So really, really great interview with Jamal J. Moore, drummer, percussionist extraordinaire. Before I get your thoughts and your takeaways, I just want to say my takeaway of the many things he talked about was, he mentioned this part about working for others. And I guess at times people like him who, work with all these different artists, they may neglect their own projects or whatever. But he was saying that he still enjoys working for other people, but he definitely still makes sure that he puts time into working on his own stuff as well. So I think that's very important for all of us. Like, just as a reminder, like, don't forget to do your own things as well as, whatever we're pouring into other projects or we're collaborating on other things, but to definitely still make sure we keep focus on our projects as well.
I 100% agree. I was going to say something similar to that.
Really?
No, just kidding. I'm just
Oh,
no. We have been running jokes about taking each other's takeaways, but taking takeaways, we're stealing takeaways. But yes, I agree with you because again, he's so gifted in terms of what he does. But when you listen to obviously to his project and listen to what he does with his, following other artists, it is two totally different things. And so I think all of us as creators, we need to be aware that we have our jobs, we have our times where we need to like put our own individual creativity aside in a way, like still bring what you bring to the table.
Yes.
But it's more about making somebody else look good. And that's a service kind of mentality, right?
Yes,
we serve our artists, we serve our employers. And
serve your church.
We serve the church, we serve the audience.
Organization, yeah.
Exactly. So we put ourselves and our egos down, but it's not an ego thing when you say, hey, I also want to express myself.
Right.
So I think you said it perfectly. It's like we have to have a balance of don't put your own creativity aside. When you have something to express in your own way, sometimes you do have to step forward, take a chance. Maybe not everybody's going to like it, but at least you did say, hey, this is my project, this is my art, this is my music. Let me at least try to put it out the way that I want to do it, and then still be able to come back and tour and work with other artists and play what they would like you to play as far as being a supporting role.
Right.
I absolutely agree. And the one thing I was just mentioning earlier before we got on the air was I love the fact that he mentioned that he had to learn how to switch from gospel to R&B and get more disciplined.
Yes.
So that's another lesson to all of us that we can always improve. Like just because you're playing on a high level tour with one artist, you can still learn. And when he switched to a different tour, he learned how he had to be more disciplined. He had to focus a little more. And so whether you're in gospel, R&B, pop, country, whatever you're playing, whenever you move to that next area, you got to be humble enough to continue to learn. Yeah. So that was my big takeaway, that it doesn't matter what level you're on, you can always learn and get better.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. You can continue to follow Jamal on the socials that we'll put in the show notes. Make sure you still follow us as well.
Yes, and subscribing.
And make sure you subscribe. Absolutely. Yes. And as well as check out our free resources we have. If you're interested in more resources, check that link where you'll see that we have some free resources for you to help you get better as a creative, because we want to make sure you're always improving and investing in yourself.
Yeah, I think that's
a
show.
That's a show. Wow. Well, it was a big chock full of information show.
Yes.
I don't know, a loaded baked potato of show.
Oh my goodness, now I'm hungry.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, we'll let Cristal go get something to eat. Meanwhile, we will go ahead and sign off. My name is Alan C. Paul.
And I am a big baked potato. I am Cristal Renee.
And this has been the Guided Gig Show, where we talk about real artists
and real life.
We'll see you next episode. You guys take care.
Cream on the side.
Thanks for joining us here at the God and Gigs Show. Please leave us a review on iTunes, like our Facebook page, or visit godandgigs.com and tell us what you thought of this show. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, go create something amazing.
Hi, friends. If you're listening still, thanks so much for staying a part of this show. And I just wanted to quickly give a announcement, which I hate to do, but I'm happy for my friend Cristal Renee. She's going to be moving on from the God and Gigs Show. She's been giving so much life, so much insight, so much, really just been literally, I don't imagine the show without her. But she is going to be doing amazing things on her own. I'm going to continue to support her. I hope you guys will follow her, make her feel amazing. Let her know how much you've enjoyed her throughout the last 46, 47 episodes that she's been a part of. And I just want to wish her the best. I did not want to let this podcast or do another podcast without her voice on here, without her presence, and not say how much I love and appreciate her sacrifice, her coming in week after week after week to record these episodes, whether it was Zoom, whether it was dealing with technology. She has just been a trooper and a true supporter and friend and sister. So with that, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that Cristal is still a friend and still there's no bad things, nothing big or, one of those breakups or anything like that. It's just that it was time for us to let her spread her wings and do a lot of new things that she's got on her plate, and it just made sense for her to move on at this time. So Cristal, love you. Thank you so much for being a part of my life and this show, and I can't wait to see what amazing thing God has for you, your family, and everything that's coming your way. I know is going to be amazing because of your heart and your generosity toward everybody that you meet. So God bless you guys. Thanks so much for listening again. Hit up Cristal on either Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Tell her thank you. Let her know how much we appreciate her. This long message was important to me to share because how much I love and appreciate her. Take care, guys.